All right, so we're going to talk about interpreting data. We're going to do this in a series of videos, just a couple of short ones, nothing too serious. The first thing is knowing the importance of actually interpreting the data. Why I actually made you do this? It's because interpreting data is a very important aspect of being informed and understanding the world around us, especially with things like our coronavirus outbreak that's going on. If we can't look at the data and analyze it, understand it, then we can't understand what's going on. We cannot make good informed decisions about how to lead our lives. So interpreting data will come up in science, it'll come up in math, it'll come up in English. So it's an important thing to do, and I think it's something that a lot of people struggle with. So if you struggle with it, you're not alone. All right, so we're going to talk first about the number one. So number one, you're figuring out if group A, the drug, had the mice in group A had more babies than the mice in group B. So did the drug work or did it not work? So what we need to do is we need to look at this first, and it's kind of like we make an initial assessment. These numbers seem a little bit higher, and we need to also know that 5 and 4, that's not really a significant difference. 4 and 6, so see it's changing here. So those are showing not significant changes. So 5 and 4, 5 and 4, 4 and 6, those aren't different. Those are the exact same. So 2 and 6, so that's way different. So looking at this on this initial assessment, it's not, this one looks more, but if you look at it closely, it's a little bit different. So what I would use is my measures of central tendency, my mean, median, mode, and range, to actually look at this to figure out if group A has higher mean, median, mode, and range than group B. If it does, then that's telling me that the drug did work. If it did not, then it's telling me that the drug either had no effect or it had a negative effect. So be careful just looking at the data. You need to interpret it and you need to analyze it by using your measures of central tendency: mean, median, mode, and range. I'd mostly use mean. Okay, Cal growth rates. So for Cal growth rates, we're looking at Bessie and Bertha. We're seeing how much they grew in the 4 or 5 months they had here. Okay, so it's telling you to make a dotted line for Bessie and a straight line for Bertha. So first things first, on your graph, when you make your graph, you need to make sure that you label all of your parts. So you need to label the title, the Y, and the X-axis. So if you don't label the title, the Y, and the X-axis, we don't know exactly what you're talking about, and it's not going to be a very useful graph. It tells you to use a dotted line for Bessie and a straight line for Bertha. So this one tells you that you are using a line graph. One of the biggest things that we run into is when we're making our graphs is that we don't know exactly which graph to use. So we tend to go towards bar graphs. And bar graphs are useful in some things, but not all things. This one, it tells you to make a line graph. And there's pie charts that you can make. And so we're going to take a little analysis into which type of graph to make, because it's going to be very important to make sure we make the right graph. So we're going to do that in just a minute here. So for this one, when we're graphing the data, they both start at 100. So probably somewhere down here at the base, you need to make it 100. And then they both increase at different rates, but they both end at 400 pounds. So that is part of your question you have to answer down here. Both cows end at the same weight, but did the experiment feed the way they gained the weight? So did in between April and August, they gain weight differently? That is what you're looking to find. Okay. Describe your conclusion. So make sure you're using your evidence from this with your labels and your graph here in itself. So in the next video, we're going to dive into the types of graphs, and then we're going to look at a couple more questions on this sheet.